Her whole life, from the second she becomes a woman, she is dodging pieces. Every man, she's dodge. Why would I not talk to a woman the same way I'm talking to you? I feel like I have good things coming to me when I'm kind to people. Some people are not going to think like me and don't want what I want for my life, even if I want it for them. Up and down, 500 grand a year revenue. Up and down, 800, 900, a million, 1, 2. And then we started doing multi-millions of dollars. And
some of your friends are the famous Tate Brothers.
Andrew's a showman. He's also a competitor in his heart. But I have no doubt about whether they're innocent or not. If they're guilty, I'm not only blind, I'm a fool.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode on the Passionate Few podcast. Today, it's your host Omar, and today we have a very special interview with Justin Waller. He's known on social media as being a serial entrepreneur and helping men and women around the world get enlightened on some perspectives that I think you guys will be blown away to hear about in your life, health, and business. So with no further ado, thanks so much for being on the show today, Justin.
Glad to be here. I got to tell you, man, I'm really glad you said men and women, because, you know, I think that I speak for like, you got to love them both, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a big misconception that like guys that talk about what we talk about because we're helping young men, it's just because we're men. But helping women is definitely something I'm interested in. And I also feel that the more men we help, the more women we help, because there's more good men out there for women.
Absolutely.
So I really like that you said that, man, because I think that's true for me. So
absolutely, brother. Yeah. And it's funny, we were actually watching your content earlier, just doing some research. A lot of people see you on social media, you know, and they might take certain perspectives. You know, I know with Tate and some of the other people that you guys have done content with, and they take it and create a narrative or context that's maybe limited. And so I really want to, in this interview, kind of open it up so we can see the full spectrum of a lot of the great stuff you share, man. So
yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we can smile and laugh a little bit. That's awesome. That's the hardest thing about doing a lot of these podcasts, bro, is like you don't get that opportunity to laugh and you know, show that other side of you. So
right, cool.
It's good being in a place where there's not like an OnlyFans model somewhere.
Yeah.
So
that's funny, man. Very cool. Well, yeah. So I want to first touch base. You know, before we got into how you got into great shape, built this multi-million-dollar business. You know, got into what you're doing on social media. Take us back. I believe you grew up in Baton Rouge, just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, a little town called Denham Springs, man.
So take us back. Before you became the sensation, multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, what was the young Justin? Where did he grow up, and what was his childhood like?
Young Justin was in Denham Springs. Well, actually, first, I was born in Monroe, this small town in North Louisiana. And then we moved to this town called Baker. And then we went to Denham Springs. So I got to Denham Springs around junior high-ish, I'd say. And yeah, man, so I had a love for martial arts at an early age. I was super consumed with like blood sport and all the Van Damme and all that type stuff.
Yeah,
so
Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude
Bro, I
Van
did
Damme.
all that stuff, and I did all the karate tournaments and the like little kickboxing tournaments. But when I got to junior high, you know, that wasn't really a sport in the school. And then so naturally as a human, like men do, they're like, okay, well, what gives you prestige at recess? So it was
clout with the ladies.
What gave me the street cred, you know? So it was football, and I played football, baseball, and basketball coming up. And I feel like I got a lot of good lessons in life from sports. I really do, like team camaraderie, like get the W, you know, you don't need to take the last shot. If it makes sense to pass that motherfucker. And for me, I feel like I run my businesses that way. I feel like my relationships are that way. What makes the most sense to win? You know, try to keep the ego in check. And I think sports were really good for me in that regard. And as far as like coming up through high school and everything, I just didn't want to get stuck in my small town. You know, I saw the pattern, and I'm like, there's got to be a way out. And so I chose to play football, and I went and did that Division I football. I got a scholarship.
What position?
Play tight end.
Okay.
But you know, it's really important to me that I talk about the experiences of football and sports, because one thing that I feel bad for other people for is like being an Uncle Rico, living in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like I was good enough.
Glory days were behind you in high school. It peaked.
Yeah, and I was good enough to get my college paid for. You know, and nowadays that's a pro athlete.
Right.
You know, at that level now, and I think that they're long overdue paying the players. And so I'm really excited about seeing the players get paid. I got a lot from sports in regards to, for example, let's say we would go play Alabama. Well, you've seen Nick Saban on ESPN. You've seen the guy across from you on ESPN and SportsCenter multiple times. You know he's an All-American. You know he's going to get drafted in the first round.
Right.
To be able to go to battle with people like that in real life and see that they're real and there's actually scuffs on their helmet when they get close enough to you for you to see it is, I think it's a really, really good character building thing. You know,
it's humanizing.
Yeah, and you get to go to the arena and you get to compete as a gladiator and people throw beer on you as you walk in and things like that. So that was really good for me, and one thing that was low-key good for me that I actually realized I learned looking back, and I didn't know that I learned at the time, is just how much of a business college football is. Like, you know, you have a bad game, and your coach passes you in the hallway, and you think, oh, it's just a game. It's not just a game. Because if you can't block that defensive end at Texas A&M, and you have a losing record, that coach might lose his job.
Right.
And then he's got a family and kids and a wife to answer to, you know, and so at the time, looking back, there were things I didn't understand that I so clearly understand now about the sport and what was going on truly outside of me making my classes, getting on the airplane, and going to play ball.
Yeah, the chain reaction, so to speak. And the importance of being an A player and how if you're not, it throws off the chain.
Right, and like what the coaches are going through, not even knowing where they might land the next year. Or, you know, are they going to go up to a, you know, because I played at a Sun Belt school, it's Division I, but it wasn't Big 12 or SEC. And so my coaches, you know, they were either, and I had 3 coaches in my 4 years of playing, and either they went way down to like a SWAC school or something, or they went to A&M, or some of them, like one of them even went to the NFL. Wow. And so like looking back, I think about what they were going through in their career at close to my age now, and you know, their whole future was on the back of an 18-year-old. Yeah, you know what I'm
wild.
saying?
Yeah.
And so like I have a completely new respect for what they were going through at the time. And really looking back, it really helped me understand that performance is going to be everything in your career, you know, because if we didn't play good, they didn't grow in their own career. Absolutely. And there were repercussions to that. So I stay in touch with one of my coaches now. He's bounced around he was at Tulsa, a guy named Steve Farmer, which at the time I loved and hated. Now I just have nothing but love for him, you know, and respect and admiration. I follow him on Facebook, and I just think to myself, man, he was this age when I was on the field and he was screaming at me. Yeah. You know, and like, what was he thinking? What was he going through at home? What was he worried about with the game plan, and what did that mean for his future? So I've since watched him go to Tulsa, Texas A&M. He's at Syracuse now, man. I love watching my coaches. I had a coach named Coach Brooks. He did like the admin for the players. Now he's over at Georgia, just winning championships after championships. So shout out Coach Brooks. But
that's awesome. Did you want to be a pro football player at that time, or
yeah, bro.
What were your dreams?
Fuck yeah, who doesn't? Who doesn't? You know,
what team? What was your dream team?
Bro, I didn't even. Bro, who would care, right? Who would care? You know, and I always like when people ask me this because I feel like it's a great time to give a vulnerable, honest answer. And they're like, "Why didn't you go to the league?" It wasn't because I injured my shoulder. It's because there was 30, 40 other dudes that were bigger, faster, stronger, and playing the right position, you know, than me. And they went to the league because they should have. You know, for a tight end, I played, I'm a little under 6'4", barefoot. I played at 245. Bro, that is not a big tight end. Not in the league.
Right.
You got to be 6'6", 260, run 4.5.
Right.
It's a different kind of animal.
Right.
You know, and in a lot of ways, I don't even think if I were to play a professional sport, I don't think that I was the right size for that position. It wasn't. It wasn't coherent to what I, you know, maybe where I would have been set up to be more graceful in that regard. But I don't live in the past about sports at all. You know, I enjoy telling people because I wasn't good enough, and because I feel like that's a very honest, wholesome answer that lets you know that, you know, somebody's gonna be real with you.
Yeah, self-awareness.
Yeah, man. It's like, hey, it wasn't. That's not what I was supposed to be doing. So I got a lot out of it. The relationship I had with sports. Really, like, I got everything. Let's say me and football made a deal. I did my side, football did its side. It paid for my school. I got a college degree. Looking back, I'd love to have those 4 years for entrepreneurship. Yeah. But I didn't know what I didn't know, man. We're talking about 2005 through 2009. Right. The internet is not what it was. There wasn't kids driving Lambos on crypto pumps or having multi-level marketing agencies. And no discredit to them, man, because I would have took that opportunity as well. I don't like to pull punches when I talk about, like, every generation has a new set of opportunities that come with its own challenges. And I think the young men today are dealing with that very much with, whether they want to go to college or not, or whether they want to make an online business. Most of them, I suspect, want to have YouTube channels,
right,
and want to be known, and don't want a normal job. And I think that's sad. I don't think we appreciate people with normal jobs enough.
Right.
Especially,
100% agree with that.
Especially the tradesmen, man.
Yeah.
Especially the guys that build this country, that build everything that it takes to even make this podcast happen, man. So.
That will never get the credit or have
they'll never get
be
it.
known. Or
they'll
anything.
never get it, but I'll never come off of it. And hopefully I'll be able to, grow to a point where, people really start appreciate them. In fact, just yesterday on a podcast, and I'll say it again now, I really want to challenge everybody to take the opportunity. If you see a guy at a grocery store or in line to pay for his lunch, and he's got on work boots, and you can tell he's had a hard hat on, he's out there working, building America, man. See if you can't let that guy buy, you buy lunch for that guy. Buy that guy lunch, man, because without guys like that, man, the world doesn't go around, man. So we all have those guys to be grateful for. And if we, as a whole, everybody, at least in my community, maybe yours, could just take that opportunity, man, to buy a guy a beer. He's checking out at the end of the day. He's going to get that 6-pack, man. See if he'll let you buy it for him, and just tell him how much you appreciate what he does to make the world run, man. Because without those guys, this society doesn't run at all. So
100%.
Always got love for them, man.
100%, bro. Now, switching gears, did you, after football, decide you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or where was the where was the dreamer in Justin? Like, what were you thinking at that time when you saw, man, I'm not going to make it to the league, but maybe I'll do this? Like, take us back.
And to be honest with you, I never had aspirations for the league. It was always to get my school paid for. It was just not to end up in the plants in South Louisiana.
What about for the girls?
For the girls?
Yeah.
Bro, I was already getting the girls, bro. I say all the time, like, bro, these girls been doing my homework since 6th grade, G. Like, that's I've always had that. That's always been, like, I feel like I've had that with people, though. I've always made friends.
Yeah.
I don't particularly, now I don't teach, nor do I have training in game. But I do genuinely believe if you can create rapport with someone and you've done your work to make yourself physically attractive, getting a friend and getting a girl are not that much different. Speak to them like a human, be respectful, be present in the moment. And so, like, making friends for me has never been a problem, and getting girls has certainly never been a problem. So that was already like a thing.
Checked off the list.
So, in fact, I played football, so I was, there's like 10 white guys on the team, maybe, and my teammates would always joke that I had like crazy white boy swag. And actually, the reason funny. My channel is named Jay Waller is because they would call me Jay Waller. And looking back, before now, I think that playing college football was probably the happiest time of my life. Now, I'm happier now. Let me be very clear about that. In a landslide, life is better. But previous to now, before that, college football was the last time I had true brotherhood. And one thing that I really am in love with about college football, and I challenge you to find another place where this is true, where else on the planet do you walk into a stadium and it doesn't matter your age, your race, skin color, anything. Like, if you were wearing that team's colors and we were wearing those colors together, bleeding with each other at practice every day, there was no racism, there was no anger, there was no right, there was no left, there was no Republican, no Democrat. There was brothers on the field bleeding together, trying to win in war. Yes. And it was one of the most happy times in my life, man. And I still keep up with my teammates to this day.
Yeah.
I love them so much, bro. They're posting baby pictures and shit, and I'm like hearting the fuck out of it on Facebook and shit like that, man, because they're my brothers and my brothers forever.
Yeah.
I saw one of my teammates, he went and played for the Packers. A guy named Cartier Jackson, and he's a fucking stud. Crazy son of a bitch, but a stud. Dreadlocks to here, tatted and shit. That dude, bro. He had swag, and I saw him in a Walgreens parking lot about a year ago, and I must have saw him from like 60 yards away, but I knew it was him, and he saw me and he goes, Jay! And we just it's the weirdest thing, because in like 2022, you're not going to see these two big guys, a white guy, black guy, just embrace. you know, and
like you guys never missed a beat from practice, like
no,
same
bro,
Brotherhood,
yeah, man. Like he could have been getting in a fight, and he might have been getting jumped, and I wouldn't have took the L with him. It would have been it'd been horrible in my heart not to. Like it's like you know you have that bond, and then there's certain things you trust in each other, man. So like I didn't feel awkward around him at all. Cartier, and I just went. And I just like we didn't even check up, bro. It's almost like we was gonna tackle each other, man. And I think that's a beautiful thing when men can get there, man.
100%.
Especially through going through trials and tribulations together, and really doing difficult things together. And I feel like I have that with almost every teammate I've ever had, bro. And I really cherish it.
Yeah, and it translates to many areas of life too. Yeah, business,
everything, bro.
Hey guys, we'll get right back to this video in a sec. But first, I have a quick question for you. Given that the e-commerce industry is growing by the trillions year over year, have you ever dreamed of running your own e-commerce business like many of the guests we've interviewed on the show? But maybe you felt overwhelmed about where to begin? Lucky for you, today's sponsor, Zendrop, solves this exact problem. You see, with Zendrop, you simply select high-quality products, add them to your store, and they handle shipping and fulfillment while you make the profit. No more guessing games on product sourcing or dealing with inventory hassles. Zendrop's platform is designed with you in mind, making it incredibly simple to launch and scale your dropshipping business in a one-stop shop. Plus, they're offering an exclusive deal. Sign up today through our link below, and their team will personally craft your very own store to kickstart your e-commerce journey. They even have weekly coaching calls to answer all of your questions and help you get up and running in no time. It's truly more than just a platform. It's your e-commerce partner waiting to join you on the path to success. So why wait? It only takes 5 minutes or less to sign up. Simply hit pause, head over to zendrop.com/passion, and let's turn your passion for e-commerce into a thriving online business today. Thank you to Zendrop for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the show.
Switching gears, just want to touch base on what happens post-football in college, and how do you make that transition to business?
Yeah, so it was tricky. I'd read Rich Dad Poor Dad in college. I knew I wanted to have a business, but I don't think I was completely business minded yet. I went to construction management school because they said it was 100% job placement. Unfortunately, I graduated college in 2009, so there wasn't really any jobs. So I went and dove
right after the real estate crash.
Yeah. So I thought I was going to end up in Dallas somewhere making $150 a year. I thought I'd put some money aside and have a truck allowance and a 401k and be making really good money. I am so grateful that did not happen. Because I feel like this happens to a lot of people, man. They get stuck in that comfortable job and they start to stack their expenses.
Right.
Because they have the funds to do it. And one thing I was really good about, it was through inspiration. I wouldn't even say discipline. I went and I dug ditches for this company called Austin Bridge and Road in this little small town called Bastrop, Louisiana. It's just a little bit outside of Monroe. And it was a tough time for me because I was going through a breakup, and so I was a bit heartbroken. And then
was it like a toxic relationship a little bit?
No, not at all. Not at all. Good girl.
It was just hard to accept that it was ending, kind of thing.
I did it.
Tough?
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
I broke up with her and hurt her real bad.
Yeah.
And I thought I was doing the right thing because I wanted to see other girls. You know what I'm saying?
Playboy J, man.
Yeah, man. And I didn't think I could bring the truth to her, so I thought I was being a good person by breaking up with her. Had I had it to do again, I think I would still do it that way because I don't think she would have been the right person to marry.
Right.
But that's nothing against the girl. One of the most talented, beautiful women I've ever known. Wonderful girl. She got 3rd place at Miss America that year.
Wow.
She won Miss Louisiana. I mean, I had the baddest bitch.
Yeah.
But I had that, I had that dog in me. I had that thing I like to do, man. And
how'd you meet her, if you don't mind me asking?
She was Miss ULM, and the football team went to a pep rally for the basketball team, and I saw her, and just rolled up, man. Yeah. See, that's what y'all young men don't understand, bro. Back in the day, you had to roll up on a girl.
Yeah.
Wasn't no swiping shit going on.
Yeah, swiping her DM or anything.
Yeah, wasn't none of that shit going on. In fact, I didn't have Facebook till my freshman year of college.
Wow.
And I wouldn't have had it. I had this volleyball player set up a Facebook account for me in her dorm room that I wasn't supposed to be in. So anyway, appreciate you, Amber.
So you walk up to her just straight at the thing and just start talking to her and just sparks fly and
well, you know what? I have strategies. Again, I don't know all about game. I'm not claiming I do. I just believe that natural being natural and being charming helps. So I did throw that little hit on her jab, but then I walked away.
Yeah.
And I was walking to the dorms, and she pulled up next to me in a car and was like, "Hey, you want to ride?" Yes, ma'am, I do.
Game over.
Move that crown out that passenger seat. Let's go.
Yeah.
So I told her some bullshit, like she needed to come see my new couches. Long story short, you know how that ended.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, it was really one of the 3 times in my life I've been in love. I love that girl very much. To this day, I love her like a sister.
Wow. Were you always pretty smooth with women in general? Like,
Yeah,
did you ever struggle?
yeah, but I was
a
like,
lot of men struggle with that, even who are pursuing or have ambition.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people ask you this question, so I want to dive in. Like, I'm sure a lot of men ask you too. What do you think most men miss or get wrong or misunderstand about, you know, game in terms of how you see it, not in terms of global game, but in terms of what's worked for you?
Again, I want to stress that I don't think I'm qualified as a guru on this subject. For me, it's been about just being, I think they dehumanize women. Like, why would I not talk to a woman the same way I'm talking to you?
Right. So don't make it this big.
Yeah, treat them like a human.
Yeah.
Small investments. If you know you're going to see her again, just say, "Hey, I keep seeing you. It bothers me that I'm Southern. You know, this is what I'll do in the gym, right? I'm Southern. I don't like people. I do this to men too, though. I do the same shit,
Right?
Because I like to make friends,
Right?
Because if you make friends, you're cool with people. Everybody, and then that girl is like, "Oh, everybody must like this guy. He's cool." But
Doors open. Yeah.
hey, it bothers me for you to be this close and not speak. I'll let you work out. My name's Justin. Nice to meet you. Boom, done. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
And then she's going to be sitting there like, why did this big, tall, handsome man stop me and then not hit on me?
Exactly.
Whereas
everyone else is trying to be smiley or jokey.
Or they'll go ahead and ask for the number.
Yeah.
And always say a way to do that, especially with a girl you know you're going to see multiple times. Like if she goes to your gym, her whole life from the second she becomes a woman, she is dodging penises.
Right.
Every man, she's dodge,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then you come in there and you just say hello. You treat her like a normal person when she's been been put on a pedestal.
Right.
Then she's like, wait a second, and she drops her hands, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Boop. And it's like their idea.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing about it, man. And it's like, is it smooth? Maybe, but I also think it's really important just to practice talking to people in general. Because like, if you don't just go up to random people and give them a compliment, you could be losing out on one of the best parts of my day. I try to say something nice to somebody every day.
Dude, I love that. Me too. I try to get one compliment a day to a stranger.
Man, to an absolute stranger with nothing in return. And what's so great about that is that you get to get the feeling and the fulfillment of saying, you know what, I probably made their day just now. You know,
100%.
And whether that's a compliment or a lot of times I like to do nice shit for people. If I'm in line, I'm like, get out of here, I'll pay for this. If lady's got her kids and she's trying to, I'm like, I got this, boom. Yeah. Or buy the guy a beer. I bought a guy a 12-pack of beer the other day. He was in work boots. Bro, every chance I get. And it's $20.
Yeah.
And is it because I'm this great Boy Scout guy? No, it's good for my soul, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like I have good things coming to me when I'm kind to people.
Yeah. When you put yourself to be a blessing to others, you will bless through the same door.
Yeah. And I'm really, every time I talk about doing nice things for people, I'm very quick to say, but I'm an asshole. Because I don't want it to be taken as virtue seeking.
Sure.
I will also punch that same guy in the fucking face.
Right.
Like if I have to.
Yeah.
Don't want to. So to me, I just want to be very clear and level-headed about how I explain why people should be nice to people, because it's not this thing where I want to make somebody believe that I'm this wonderful person.
Right.
I genuinely think it puts good in the world, and that makes me feel good, and it makes others feel good, and I think it's just good for my soul.
100%.
So I like to do it. It's like my daily soul vegetables.
Dude, I love it. Yeah,
it's like, you know, doing something kind for somebody. They don't even know who you are. They don't even need to know who you are, but you get to carry it with you.
100%.
And I think when you have that energy with you and on you all the time, it not law of attraction bullshit, but like you feel like you have good things coming. And I think when you feel that way, then you do.
Yeah, and you start seeking blessings too.
Yeah.
It just puts you in a sphere of awareness versus like it's just to yourself or you don't hang compliments. Like you got to create. Like not fake it, but you got to create and focus on what is good to get more of it. Yeah,
And a little advice I'd give to anybody that ever gets a compliment is don't rob that person of the fulfillment that they're going to get from giving you that compliment. When you downplay somebody's compliment, it's not really being humble as much as it is you not accepting what they're trying to do for their own soul. Accept the compliment. You know, I had a coach with. You ever read the book E-Myth?
Oh yeah, someone was talking about it yesterday.
Yeah, so I did E-Myth coaching for 1.5 years.
Nice.
And we were talking about compliments, and he shared that with me, and it was very impactful because I used to have a very hard time accepting them, mostly because they embarrassed me a bit.
Sure.
But when he explained it to me in a way is like you're robbing them of giving you that compliment, and I was like, man, I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
You know, because you're actually taking away from the person giving it.
100%.
So that was actually an impactful conversation for me that I've kept with me. You're always looking for that one thing from, you know, whatever seminar or book you read, you know, that you can have in your tool belt for the rest of your life. And I feel like that's a really good one that he gave me that day.
Yeah,
so,
truly.
Really good.
It's super true. And not only that too, is I feel like when you do that, you activate that in others too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then they'll go, oh shit, maybe I'll pay it forward, maybe I'll compliment someone, and then you become this like ripple effect.
Yeah.
People think it's for them, but it's selfishly, you probably get more out of it than they do in certain contexts. Yeah.
You know what I do to people every day? It's one of my favorite things to do. I do this 3 or 4 times a day. You know how you'll go, like this morning, I went to the coffee bar, and the girl was there, and she's like, hey, how's your day going? Small talk. They don't mean it. I can't have a bad day. Great, I can't have a bad day. And I always get this response of like, whoa. Yeah, like, whoa. And many people have said, do you say that on purpose? And I'll be like, yes, I do. And I'm actually trying to give it to you right now. Try it. Dude, if you answer people that ask you, you'll get that question 3 times a day on average, at least. Just small talk, elevator, bullshit, right?
Yeah.
If you start saying that into existence, not only are you sharing that gift with someone, you're putting that spell on yourself.
Right.
Which is a really good self-hypnosis. I cannot have a bad day. She's like, oh yeah, well, sun shining. I said, it could be raining, storming, and it wouldn't matter. And she's like, oh, I see what you're doing. Good, and now you have it, use it. Yeah. And a lot of people have actually even gone as far as to tell me thank you for it, and I'm like, no, thank you. I got to use it on you. Thanks for asking. So these things are real, man. These little small things you can do in your day are really important, and I think that if you can build up a stack of good habits, you know, in your circadian rhythm of how you run your day, your psychology can be much better.
100%. And it's funny, I was actually just watching a recent video on your channel on YouTube where you talk about some of the habits that made you a multimillionaire in your 30s.
Yeah.
Or in your, you know, younger years, and then, you know, you teach it now that you're in your 30s. People of all ages, but you talk about like time you wake up, you talk about rituals of fitness, talk about business, talk about organization, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, is that something that was like, were you always disciplined, or was that bred through football, or was it after football you tried in business, had a couple failures, and then through trial and error learned discipline? Or where did that sort of mindset come from to get you on the trajectory to start winning in life and business?
I think that sports probably conditioned me to be able to do it, or gave me the idea that I could wake up early. I don't currently wake up early, but I will tell you this: the second I wake up, it is work immediately. So as you know, as I've gone through my different, you know, stages of my career, you know, like in the beginning you get paid for your back and what you do, and you have all that unicorn blood in you, and 4 a.m. you just, bro, I remember jumping out of bed like it was Christmas to go get my ass beat all day doing metal buildings because I thought I was going to build a metal building company.
Yeah.
Little did I know how hard that would be. But
How old were you when you started that?
I was 24.
So how long after you get out of football do you start your first entrepreneurial
Bro, not long.
endeavor?
Not long, a year. Yeah.
And that business fails right away, or? No,
it didn't fail. What happened was I had to get a job so I could save up enough money to take my contractor's license test. And when that finally got handled, I started the business. And it started out small. I had a situation where a guy walked off a job on me, and it cost me $30,000.
Yeah.
$30,000 at the time was a lot of money to me.
Right.
And so I had to take another job while I was keeping the business running. So I'd wake up at 3 instead of 4, work out, and then go do estimates at the construction office of the company I was working for until I won enough work that I thought I could, you know, have enough work for a year.
Wow.
And so I did that, and I got it built back up again, got my money paid back out. And then I faced challenges down the road. So, it was never over, back then when I recovered the 30. But, what it would do, it reminds me of a stock. Like, it's like I was up and down, but over time, it was up and down like this.
Higher highs.
Yeah. So I was like, it's up and down, $500,000 a year revenue.
Yeah.
And then it was up and down, 800, 900, 1,000. I mean, $1 million, 1, 2. And then we started doing multi-millions of dollars. And so it got to this point, and I always compare it to like, getting a carousel going. Like if there was a carousel sitting dead still, those first years you're just pushing. Yeah. And it's like not even moving, and you're just pushing as hard as you can. You slowly start to get it going, and you start kind of jogging with it, and then it starts getting to the point where you can just step back and just start slapping it as it goes by. Business for me, and in my experience, has been a lot that way. It's like once you finally break this threshold, and the systems work, and the right people are in, and the right recruiting systems are in, and the right marketing systems are in, you can scale, but it's getting it off the ground, getting more than one person to row the boat in the same direction, dance to the same tune, to build that culture, is I think is what the hardest part is, man. You find that first ride or die, you got a really good shot. Have you ever seen the video of the people dancing in the field in like the 70s? It's two people dancing in the field in the beginning. Actually, it's one person.
Oh, yes.
So it's one person dancing.
Yes.
And then the second person comes. But the gap of time it took from the second person dancing to the field to be full of people was substantially shorter than just to get that second person.
Yeah.
And for any young man that's struggling in his business, a lot of times it's just going to take that one person to really believe in you. And when you can find that person that can get behind you and help you bring all of your systems and your vision to fruition, and it's two against the rest of the employees until it starts to turn. Getting that one person, I think, is one of the most impactful things that could ever happen to you.
What was the biggest catalyst for you in breaking that million and beyond threshold? Was it the right team members? Was it the right systems in place? A little bit of everything? Like, what for you was the biggest lesson in business?
It was definitely mentorship. I joined the Metal Building Contractors Directors Association, so there's a bunch of guys 20 years older than me in front of me that would give me a bunch of advice and help on how to get my jobs done and how to estimate them and what to look out for and what to put in my bid and what to protect, how to protect myself, because construction is a very legal game and it can be very stressful in that way. You can get beat up by a GC.
Of course.
They're talking about beating up subs. I mean, the schedules and then your guys don't want to be out there.
Yeah.
So how to navigate through the situation with the men, which I think is one of the hardest things in construction. I don't think anybody grows up saying, I want to work in the sun all day.
Right.
So, setting up ways for it to be a win-win for everybody or actually speak to them. Like one of the biggest challenges I had in the very beginning, I think I was listening to too much Simon Sinek or some shit.
Right.
And I just thought I was going to be the Google of metal buildings.
Yeah, and have your team fall in love with the process.
And they're like building training programs without me and playing ping pong and like we're all going to be friends and shit. And I quickly found out that, that didn't speak to my men. My men were thinking about Friday. And so sitting them down in front, and I tried this, sitting them down in front of a life insurance guy or a guy that could like help create some net worth for them over time by staying with me, didn't interest them at all.
Yeah.
They just wanted a $2 raise or they wanted $200 at the end of the week if they hit the goal. And I had to adjust to understand that some people are not going to think like me and don't want what I want for my life, even if I want it for them.
Right.
So I had to cater to that, and then on other levels of like mid-level management and management, I had to speak to what was important to them, which is what's more closer to what I want, but at the same time, still not even the same. So really being able to step outside of myself and understand what is going to speak to people, what's going to motivate people to work together, and then where are the lines of, where systems and culture meet tough love and care, and, having the guys actually believe I give a shit about them, which I think is oftentimes the hardest part, because a lot of times it's like you're getting a wounded dog that's been kicked by its last owner,
right?
Which is their boss.
Right.
So many guys that have come to me and worked for me. It's taken me time for them to, same thing with the girl, for them to just put their hands down. Really, they're like, wait, he is going to do what he says he's going to do. I've never missed a payroll. And I've had to remortgage my house a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I've gone way in the hole on lines of credit, and I've been like,
I get it.
yeah. But over time, with consistency, you know, and it's a long-term game.
How many years did it take to finally, till you feel like you built the systems from when you started? Just to humanize it, because I know people listening try to get their $1 million business up in a year. You know?
So for me, every mistake I would ever make would go on a checklist. You know, anything from something very technical with pre-drilling the roof panels or double checking the low eave detail for the mastic and having a meeting all about that, so the guys would remember, hey, the last building was American building, so this is a new core building, the detail is different, don't get comfortable. Those types of things, to checking the insurance of anybody that's a subcontractor for us and making sure they're up to date, because a guy will get an insurance policy, halfway through the job he'll let it lapse, you pay him another $500,000, and guess who pays for that at audit? You do. So it's like these types of things
that you don't know until you're like in it or make the mistake
bro,
the first time
or just things with the trucks, like buy a 7.3 liter diesel if you can. They're solid. Their 6.4s are going to break down, or do the racks like this, or do the toolboxes on the side of the truck so they don't have to jump in the back of the truck and they're digging through tools. They can walk right up to it. It saves man hours.
Were you naturally organized with systems, or did you bring someone into the business to kind of help you with that?
No, so I created all the systems. But for the longest time, my systems didn't, like, only...
I feel you.
You know how, like, you have like if you have 10 employees, like 2 of them do all the work?
Right.
I had systems that were my babies. But only 2 or 3 of them really did all the work. For the longest time.
Right.
You know, like project process for me was the hardest system we've ever put in. And I always believed in it. But in my head, I thought the guy in the field was going to sit there with his clipboard and do it. The guy in the field is like, fuck this, Justin. You throw it on the dash of the truck. And I couldn't get my head around, I'm asking a man that's not built to do paperwork to do paperwork. And so I set some structures up. Actually, I had Spanish women do this, because it's the art of war, right? The war I don't have to fight. Understanding that I could have Noelia call Facundo, let's say, and say, hey, just got an email, you're not tying off, please tie off. Oh, okay, I do for you. Whereas if I call him, number one, I'm pissed off because he's supposed to be tied off. And then number two, it's like this fight
masculine.
So why have the dick measuring contest when I can just get it done through her?
And sometimes feminine energy is,
bro,
it adds to the dynamic, it adds to the morale of the office,
bro,
the staff.
It's just so much better, and it doesn't even need to be sexual. A lot of times it can be nurturing. Women are very nurturing. I'll tell you another thing that women are really good for in the workplace is if you train them correctly and they're competent, they're very good in negotiation. I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours with my operations manager, like training her, like if he says this, you say this, or he's going to try to do this, and you do this, or even to help a customer. It's not even tricking anybody. It's like, hey, listen, I just want to know what kind of panels you're dealing with so we can look over like you speaking their language, purlins, Gertz, like the things that they know are out in the field. They're like, man, this lady really knows what she's talking about. I think I might trust her.
She cares.
And she's up to speed. She knows what I'm going through. And so in a lot of ways, man, you know, I'm a big believer that going off the gold standard hurt the nuclear family, because the man couldn't be the breadwinner. And I think that made him kind of lose respect in the household. It kind of went from he was taking care of his family to like he's a peer. And that's nothing against women. I just think that men want to be the hero, and I think women naturally want a man to be a hero. But I can tell you, man, without my girls, I don't think our company is what it is. I don't think it is what it is at all, man. And I give them a bunch of credit for that. And I'm very proud of them and very proud to give them credit. I have zero issue with women in the workplace. I wish I had more strong women working for me, man. Trump had a woman construction manager.
Yes, I remember. Yeah,
a lot of people don't know that.
She built in New York. I saw that documentary, and she was meticulous with detail.
And women are better at detail than men.
And they're more likable with how they communicate.
They're more likable. Also, they can chew your ass up and down, but because there's not the male ego there, they can actually hear what she's saying. a lot of times when a man is getting on your ass about something that even if you know you're wrong, he still can't hear you because the emotional ego part of it.
The wall's up.
The wall's there. He can't hear what you're saying. So I see Renee rip people's ass, or Val or Valentino rip their ass. Noelle, but it's different. Okay, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I let you down, bro. It's easy. Whereas,
and when you say Spanish, do you also mean because there's a little more in the Spanish culture and other cultures? There's a little more, for lack of a better expression, warmth to it, or a little more.
Well, I think the thing about Spanish itself is that when you speak the same native language, I think there's a trust there.
Sure, you get me.
Yeah. So there's things that the girls can tell the guys in Spanish,
or humor, or nuances.
Yeah, and it's just like the little subtleties of it, and it's almost like the guard is down because they're not in this language they don't understand. They're completely comfortable in Spanish, and I think that's important as well. Like, meet them where they are.
Right.
And I think meeting employees where they are, or people where they are in any business deal, is really important.
100%.
Dude, I'll tell you, I have a deal going on right now. Good friend of mine. Not going to say his name, but we're doing this big land deal. And I've given him $1 million. And it was supposed to be 6 months to flip this property. I was going to take my $200,000, bounce. And in the paperwork, it says that if we go past 6 months, I can take the property. But he's my friend. So I'm not going to take the property from him. It's his first big land development deal. I could snake my friend and legally get the property. But then I'd lose the friend.
Right.
So you really have to meet him where he is on it and be like, hey, listen, man, it's going to cost me some equity in my own deals. Because I like to be LP in some of my deals.
Sure.
And GP.
Yeah.
Especially if I like the deal a lot.
For people who don't know what LP and GP is.
Yeah, so the general partners
Yeah.
can do the capital stack, raise the money, manage the property, fund the property. They're the business owners, if you will.
Right.
Limited partners are guys that put the money down so you can get into bank debt.
Right.
So if a guy gives me $250,000 on $1 million deal, we'll give him equity. He's a partner with us. We're the general partner. He's a limited partner. But I like to take limited partner positions so I can grab more equity, especially if I'm looking to, deploy cash into a good place and get the depreciation. I get more depreciation.
Right. More leverage,
The cash is not really worth anything. I might as well buy another Rolex. At least it'll keep value. So I try to put my cash into properties too, for tax reasons and just for more equity in our deals. But
is that your biggest sort of investment strategy, or the biggest stake of your capital is invest in real estate?
Yeah. So I don't think you can invest in anything more than you invest in your company.
Right.
I could bleed the company completely blind, I guess, and put that money in my pocket. But I pay my people pretty well.
Right.
And I think that feeding that machine in that way has been very fruitful for us. But yeah, so when capital does come available, I like to shove it into real estate. That's the stage I'm in right now. That was always my goal.
Sure.
I do well know that there's more explosive business models out there, right? Like, I hear about guys all the time getting like Twitch deals for like millions and millions of dollars, and I'm just like, okay, well, that's fine. But I think those are outlier guys.
Sure.
I'm not going to play video games all day, And my main goal right now is to be able to look back at myself in my 30s and be like, I'm really proud of him. He got rich and he didn't blow it. I'm now wealthy. And
he set up the future long-term.
Yeah. He didn't go blow it on a bunch of dumb shit. Now, I have dumb shit. I just bought a Huracan Evo. But I only allowed myself. Sir?
What color?
It's white, but I think I'm going to go matte black.
I like it.
I'm going to go Batman because the Evo seats are yellow and yellow and black. The brakes pads black. So I'll drive at Miami Vice for a minute, and then I'll go matte it out. But I put most of my money into real estate. I have plenty of, income streams, so it doesn't affect my life. What am I going to do with an extra $300,000, $400,000, at this point? So, and, I like the whole make yourself poor thing, while you get wealthy. And I told myself once I had over 100 doors that I would go buy a supercar. And I'm not a car guy. I don't even like cars. In fact, I've owned this car for a month and I've not even seen it.
Yeah.
I saw it in person once, and I made sure I could fit in it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, even now, I'm going to go, like, the only reason I got the car is
You're
because...
6'3", right?
Yeah. So the only reason I got the car is because I go on these car rallies with my friends, and they know how to drop the cars and do the pedals and all this stuff, and I'm just chilling. I'm like, George Strait, right? That's basically... basically what I'm doing on the trip. So,
That's cool.
you know, a lot of them are on mountains and dangerous roads and stuff like that. So I'm going to take some time this year and like proper learn how to drive with an instructor and do the
whole thing.
Do the whole thing. But I'm not a car guy at all. In fact, if I could get my F-150 over to those car rallies, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? So.
Hey guys, quick question. Have you been enjoying this video, but you're thinking to yourself, man, I love this content, but I want to learn how to grow my brand or my business? Well, if your answer is yes, you're not alone. In fact, millions of entrepreneurs deal with this exact same issue. And it's something that I've learned the answer to from interviewing 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs around the world. And this philosophy that solves all that is a concept called who, not how. Now, the who, not how philosophy states that anytime you're stuck on the hows to get to the next level in your life, your brand, or your business, that there's always a who to help you get there. And it's for this exact reason that I'm super excited to announce that I've officially launched our brand new Passionate Few community to help you do exactly that. And yes, it's 100% free. Join me and the thousands of other entrepreneurs that can help you make your life, your business, and your dreams a reality. With no further ado, let's get back to the video.
Now, let me ask you this, switching gears, I want to talk a little bit about your leadership with the team a little bit, because I know that there's people watching this, men and women, who, you know, will look at your content, see the stuff you post online and say, you know, well, it's easy for you, Justin, to come up with these philosophies and be disciplined. You know, you have this multi-million-dollar business, and it might not be humanized to them, the struggles, the challenges, right, at every level, right, even now for you as you ascend in your levels. I'm curious, what advice do you have for, you know, men and women out there trying to pursue their dreams, trying to build their own multi-million-dollar business, being on this side of the fence in your trajectory? What advice would you have for those younger people looking for answers to make their business work?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I always like to talk about is making sure you understand that it's going to be a very lonely place. You're going to be lonely when you're failing, and you're going to be very lonely when you're winning. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So because in the beginning when you're failing, you know, you can't go to your employees and be like, fuck, don't know if I can make payroll this week. You don't want to tell them that. They'll start looking for another job, right?
Right, 100%.
Oh, shit, the work's low. Yeah. Can't say that. So you kind of like, you know, you'll either keep that in or find some source of discharging that, but you don't want to take that home to your girlfriend.
Right, exactly.
You know, so it's a lonely place, man. So you're going to be lonely there. So you have to be okay with that. And then as you progress and you start to grow, you're going to be very lonely, because then you can't take your problems to your normal friends. Mm-hmm. I can't go to one of my friends. Let's say I had a friend and he's struggling to pay his light bill, or a family member. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, man, I hear you. I'm owed $1 million. And be like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it can get a lonely place like that. And then I noticed that, you know, as you progress, people start going from being friends over certain subjects to going friends over, okay, I know this guy. Like, I'm friends with Brandon Carter. Mm-hmm. I think he's a great example. Brandon is a winner to such a degree, I could tell him any problem I have, mm-hmm. right? Or I could call Tate and be like, yo, I got this problem. He would get it, you know? And so you start linking up with people that have kind of gone past that barrier, past that finish line, to at least some sort of freedom. Mm-hmm. So you can just actually share your interactions with somebody and it not be like this huge flex.
Right, yeah.
In regards to...
and that's the minority of people, yeah.
It's 1% for a reason. So, like, and that's what I always say, is like, money's colorblind and winners are colorblind.
Ooh, I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, once you get up there, bro, nobody gives a fuck what color you're. It's like, can we make money together or not? Yeah. You know, and I'm always trying to find people that my soul's aligned with. You know, I don't care. I always say fuck time, fuck blood, and I really mean that, because there's people I've known my whole life mm-hmm. that I can't connect with like I would just another entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make them wrong. And I think it's very important to remember that you should never make anybody wrong, even if they have a different opinion or they can't see the world through your lens, because we all have this different experience. But some people are better for you mm-hmm. and your development, and I think it's always the healthiest thing to find those people and accept that, and don't let time or anything else get in the way of that. You 100%. Want to find people that are on your level. The second thing that I would say is very important to look at is the business model. Mm-hmm. And once you've decided the business model, to stay in the same fight. Mm-hmm. I see people all the time start a business, get rocked with the beginner blows of that industry, mm-hmm. and then think, man, this industry's too hard, and they'll look over here and see this other industry. They'll just go over there and take the beginner punches of that industry. Mm-hmm. And they get so goddamn punch drunk, they end up having a job, like they end up quitting. And so I'm just a really, like, metal buildings was not the best business model
Right.
for me to go in.
Yeah.
But
Probably wasn't a passion either.
No,
se,
fuck no. Fuck no. Nobody grows up and be like, I want to build metal buildings. It was the only consciousness I had to be the best man I could be. You know. And one thing I'm super proud of the younger version of myself for doing is I kept getting hit and getting up. Getting hit and getting up, getting hit and getting up. Sometimes I got hit and then got hit while I was on the ground, just kicked while I was down.
Yeah.
And the benefit to that, though, is you get to see those punches. There's patterns.
Yeah.
Just like anything else. And I think it's really important that people understand that often when you start a business, like myself, when I was 24, I was making goals that I was not yet qualified to make because I didn't know what the fuck I was about to get myself into.
Yeah.
You know? And so I think it's really important to make sure you're in the right business model, then accept you're going to get beat up for a period of time. And all you have to do is hold out to you, just like in school.
Yeah.
Just hold out until you get to roll on top, and then you get your licks in.
Yeah.
And make them count, bro.
And then it'll be funny stories later. Yeah. Down the
Yeah,
road.
man.
Yeah,
And
tough times.
And dude, I see it all the time. I'll see a guy or a person, and you can tell that they're a bit hollow. Like the first business they ever tried went to the moon, and they didn't really have to struggle as much. And I feel like those people get really, really, really high in the air and think they can do any business because it doesn't take like all I gotta do is touch it and then it pops and there's a long ride down. I've seen it happen to people, or I've met people that have a whole bunch of money, but you can feel they're like, they know like there's all these other areas of their development that they're not ready for, but they got they kind of got the cherry on top before they built the sundae.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
100%.
and I feel for those people, man. I feel like being born in the 80s, it was very lucky to have the perfect hybrid of, you know, what's going on today and having the old school roots of like, you're gonna have to pull up by your bootstraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember a time or two, maybe your lowest point in business or a really rough situation and maybe how you got out of it? Maybe a cash crunch or something behind the scenes that maybe you've never shared, just to humanize the people who might be in that position now, trying to get out of it.
Absolutely, man.
Your lowest day in business, maybe.
I had a lowest time in business, but and I was down $1 million, and that was really rough on me.
How old were you?
Shit, man, 30. You know, right when I was supposed to be a millionaire. said the 20-year-old version of myself.
Yeah.
But there was this other time, actually during COVID, that was really dark for me. We had took this big project in Alabama, and COVID had started, and the site conditions were horrible. The concrete and the anchor bolts were horrible. They weren't lining up. They were put in wrong. The guys were tired. Their wives were freaking out. They'd been on the road. We'd been working in the mud. It was my biggest project to date, contract-wise. So I was living in a micro inn in Montgomery, Alabama, to try to push this thing over the line. And I had some guys, just young guys. You know, they had the lift plan. They knew what they were supposed to do, and they just didn't do it. And I went out there on a Saturday morning just to see the job, and everybody was gone. And they left some columns up. And the thing about hanging steel is like you can't just leave freestanding columns up to just bow in the wind. They will fall.
Right.
And I see this, and you know, just like when I was in my 20s, I have that tool bag. And so I suited up real quick. I called a guy, I got him back from the hotel, and I start trying to tie these columns in to, you know, the rafter right across the way with some bar joists. We had to do, you know, do the pieces of the rafters to connect the actual columns, and I pulled out, I was in the forklift, and I picked up a bundle of bar joists, and I backed out, and right the second I backed out, I heard boom, boom, and I'm in and if you've ever seen a forklift, I'm like, there's a metal cage, and I look up, and these are 50, 60-foot columns are hitting each other in a row, boom, around me, like feet away from me. And you get that fear, like, do I stay in the forklift? Do I jump out? Do I run? Because what happens when buildings fall and it kills people, buildings roll. And at the end of that line of columns was the rest of the building, that back wall. So my fear was if it hits that back wall and I'm in here, I'm under this building, it's going to twist. And when it twists, the whole building's going to fall on you. And that's how people generally die. Buildings kind of rotate and they domino effect down. And for whatever reason, we had what's called a porta frame in, and we had some temporary bracing in. So the building did take that blow from those columns coming, boom, 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 boom. And it's happening all around me, and it's happened so fast, it's super loud. I'm in the machine, and it hit, and it stopped, and everything fell, and all the dust settled. So one, I was like, I could have just died. I mean, it literally happened 4 or 5 feet away from me. And just seconds before that, I had the boom out between those columns. So if that column would have hit that boom, it would have flipped me, you know. Yeah. So it would have been that situation.
Wow.
You broke your neck, whatever, kill you. And so the first thought was the fear of like, hey, I could have died, you know, like I just had steel fall all around me. The second thought that hit me in the gut was I probably just lost $100,000 because replacing the columns, all that.
Right.
And I keep this, there's a photo, the superintendent was on the job and he happened to catch a photo and I'm on my knees outside the forklift, just like this. Cause I knew like, number one, I could have just died. And then number two, I just lost a bunch of money and this is going to be like a legal problem. It's a big issue. And, you know, I had felt defeated. I was on the ground maybe 20, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I leaned up against the forklift, caught my breath against the tire, forklift still running. It's a big 10,000 pound lift, outriggers on it and everything. And I just, it's in that moment, man, because you're super, and that's one of those times, man, where you're super alone. Yeah. There was nobody around, you know, there was nobody coming to save me. I had to get up, pick that steel up, get it off the slab, get reset up, start working on ordering the new material that I was going to pay for, that was going to come out of my contract as a deductive change order. Get ready for the email sequence that's about to come from lawyers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, no, seriously, man, like the whole thing. And
you're just sitting there like, fuck.
Yeah.
What a day. Yeah.
Yeah, and I told those guys the night before, bro, don't hang that steel unless you tie it off. You know, unless you connect those bar joists, unless you can get this thing, you know, stabilized and temporary brace, don't do it. And they did it anyway. And I don't blame them for that. I think one of the most important things that I got right early, probably around 28, it took me about 4 or 5 years to get this right, but I stopped blaming other people for patterns. You know, man, I can't get these guys their shit. Well, quit hiring meth heads, Justin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to find a way to make it my fault.
Take ownership of it.
Yeah, because if not, you're just really susceptible to the same problem again.
Yeah.
Despite, the guy should have showed up for work. He shouldn't have quit you and pawned your tools off.
Yeah.
You know, but he's also suffering and probably in desperation in some way. You know, so
discipline your disappointments. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was good for me, and I was already at that point in my career, but I really had to sit in it because it was two things that were just very, very impactful in my life, and it was the first time I'd ever had steel fall on me, and so that was something, and then just knowing the repercussions of it from a financial, legal, and what was coming towards me after, and the project worked out fine. But being alone in that hotel that night, knowing I just had steel fall, you know, in a hotel room, dude, seriously, the size of this space, you know, the micro hotels, it's like bed, shower, gone, rotisserie chicken. And you're away from home and you're on the road and there's nobody around you. And so it's just, it's a time for you to really, it was a time for me to really work on, you know, being strong in the moment and being ready for whatever comes. And I thank God I didn't quit.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't much later that everything just finally started to, that carousel started to move.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And I love how you mentioned too the power of being around other people that can help you level up, and mentorship and great quality friends. Now, a lot of people also know you on social media because some of your friends are the famous Tate Brothers. How did that come about, and how did that, you know, how did they get introduced to your circle to begin with? Like, how did that even come into place?
I joined the War Room. I saw Andrew on Richard Cooper, and I started listening to him for a couple of days. And
when was this? What year?
3 years ago.
Okay.
He was saying things that I've been saying for a very long time. either to myself or others and not being accepted. But I'm like, bro, right. To this day, I still own the truck that I was riding around town listening to stuff in. And there's a little dent in the Ford emblem because I'm laughing and I punched the steering wheel because I'm like, I had said that, years and years before, and I just really resonated with him. And one thing that I think that people get mixed up, particularly haters, is they think that I'm like another version of Andrew.
You're like the third brother, Justin.
Yeah. Or I have aspirations to be, and then the truth is I don't. We see eye to eye on so many things that we agree on these things, but I'll never be Andrew. You know, my temperament's different. The way I present a message is different. And I'm not saying good or worse. Obviously he's very successful. I get a lot of information from him. He's taught me a lot of things. We talk about a lot of things, discuss things. It's very good. I think I'm good for him because, you know, when we're talking about things like, let's say with the War Room, I understand that, you know, sometimes employees are going to be disgruntled or team members are going to be disgruntled, or there's always like going to be this like ego shift. So I try my best to be easy for him to work with in that way because I understand it. And so the relationship between he and I and Tristan, which I personally believe is the most underrated man on the planet, Tristan Tate.
Tristan Tate? How do you think he's underrated?
So like, Andrew gets credit for his greatness, right? Tristan gets credit for it, but not to the degree of value he actually has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Tristan is super fucking impressive, you know, and in all ways. He knows more about geopolitics and history, and he could have his own multi-million, you know, subscriber YouTube channel just on his understanding of the fucking Ottoman Empire and every war that's ever happened ever and how everything moves on a geopolitical level. I mean, he's also a good fighter. He's also handsome. He also has style. He's also charming. Yeah. And it's not anything against Andrew. Andrew just simply gets, you know, the credit he deserves.
Yeah.
And Tristan is just one of the most impressive guys that, you know, he's impressive, but I don't think people realize how impressive Tristan is.
What's the biggest misconception? Because I'm sure there's the version on social media that people see, right? That people can argue is provocative. But then there's the homies, not just locker room talk, but just homies shooting the shit. And I'm sure it's way different than what people perceive. What would you say is the biggest misconception about Andrew and Tristan Tate that most people on social media will never get to see, or really, you know, don't see that you get to on a human level?
Probably even some of the same things that people think about me is that they're angry. You know, they're not.
Yeah.
You know, all we do is laugh and cut up all day and make really inappropriate jokes about each other. You know what I'm saying?
Talk shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, it's beautiful too. It's like all races, ethnicities, genders. Like last time I was there, which was what, I guess a week or two ago. It's me, him, his mom, you know.
Oh, wow, the Tate Brothers' mom? Like,
bro, yeah. When I go to London, I take her to lunch. Like when they were in jail, I'd go pick her up.
Yeah.
And we would all go eat lunch, her and her husband.
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, like we're a family. Bro, if I died today, my kids would never worry for anything.
Yeah.
Family, everybody would be set. Everything would be handled. I have no doubt. If something ever happened to them, I take a lot of pride in the fact knowing that I've done what I need to do to be able to help them. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think what people miss about them and about us collectively is that we truly have it all. A lot of people want to believe that we don't have family. I would argue that we have more family than the average person. More fulfilling, real relationships. Like when I was there the other day, they had 3 or 4 people that were from their past 15, 16 years ago, still showing up just to body spar with them.
Wow.
There was no transaction to be made there.
Right.
You know, they catapulted from that gym, but they didn't forget. And that's just the kind of people they are. Yeah. And, you know, one thing I learned from Andrew indirectly, and this is not to say that he made a mistake, but I will personally do my best not to make the mistake of leaving out the good side of me. You know, even if that lends lends me to look vulnerable on the internet or anything like this, because I just truly, truly believe that, you know, somebody that can show those things most oftentimes feel comfortable enough with themselves to defend against anybody that tries to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that's certainly how I feel about it. So I'm going to do my best to show all sides of me as much as I can, to ensure that nobody misunderstands where I'm coming from. In my first year and a half, man, I was put in a bunch of positions where you would only be able to see the side that would seem angry, or the side that would seem confrontational. And my hope and my goal is to show that other side, because I think it's a really, really important part of being a man. You know, I always say that my definition of man is a man that can hold a baby and slit a throat in the same day. And I believe that you can have that polarity if you're really, really strong and secure in it. And I owe it to myself personally and to anybody that follows me to be able to show that that's okay. You know, because the nuances and everything that makes those two boys smooth, or me, is actually, in my opinion, the kinder, more down to earth, you know, gentleman, you know, treat people well side.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to make the mistake of letting that opportunity pass me by, even if it cost me a couple people saying I was being soft on the internet, or, oh, I care about people. Whatever, bro, nerds. So they're absolutely wonderful in every way. I've said that on a million podcasts. I won't change. And there's guys you'd want to drink a beer with. You know, ridiculously smart, ridiculously knowledgeable about everything, which, you know, constantly has me in Wikipedia when I, you know, but it's good.
Have you ever heard, I'm curious, just, you know, I want to touch on this, and I'm super curious, and if you don't have experience with it, it's cool, but, you know, one thing, regardless of people's opinion on the Tates in general, nobody can deny the fact that Andrew hacked social media so quickly with his strategy. Did you pick up, you know, anything behind the scenes in terms of maybe him telling you, like, dude, all you got to do is this, or like, I'm sure you've heard him on like private rants, like him just inspired on like, this was the plan. You know, is there anything behind the scenes on how he initially did it that you think are particularly profound that you could share with people that, you know, were interesting or fascinating to you?
So I'll say I have, and I'll also say that's a family secret.
Gotcha.
You know.
Gotcha.
So, you know, he does help me with social media, and so does Tristan. You know, maybe they're trafficking me too, but there is a funny tweet that came out the other day, because they're trying to accuse him of doing it through TikTok, helping these girls on TikTok. Where they help. So Tristan made a tweet. He's like, "Oh, I also helped Jay Waller. Does that mean I'm trafficking?" And I told Tristan, I replied to Tristan's tweet, and I said, "Tristan, please stop trafficking me on Grindr. My tight jeans are gonna make the app explode." So, yeah, man, they've been very helpful. And they're super there for me.
That's awesome.
I appreciate the way they believe in me. I do think I earned that. I do think I was ready for that opportunity to cross my path. I worked a lot of time in the dark, in the shadows, where nobody could see me. And I certainly would look like, after 18 months, that with all my social medias blowing up the way that they have, that was like this overnight thing. I think I just had internal growth for a really long time, and I got a lot of respect from people that ran internet businesses, because I ran a real one. And I feel very lucky and blessed. There's so many people for me to thank in that regard, man. Like, people that believed in me, you know, Fresh and Fit let me on. Dude, I was on Fresh and Fit. I didn't even have 2,000 YouTube subs. You know, Myron and Walt, you know, were a big part. Rolo really helped me out a lot, really believed in me. Andrew and Tristan, Andrew believed in me so much, he called me, he was like, "Bro, help me build this." And, you know, and we were close at that point. Like, what are you going to do? You love your brother. Who else do you want to go to war with? Nobody. Easy decision. But it was those people, they believed in me, and I had earned it, because I had done real things in the real world. I came in fit. I had my shit together. And that's why I'm constantly telling young men this, like, ethics happen before you need them. You know, if you had not done all the preparation, and I've not done all the things to make myself who I was when that opportunity came, it would not have come. You know, it would have passed me by, man. So I'm constantly thinking about that in all areas of my life. Like, how do I make sure I can take care of everybody? I don't make enough money yet. I got to make more money. I got to be ready. What if somebody gets cancer? What if this, you know? And I think that's really important to do, is like to think out into the future and be like, what ethics do I need today so I can show up tomorrow for the people I love? You know?
100%. And I love that you said too that you earned your chops, so to speak, in the real world, because that lends itself to the real world app too.
It does,
You know,
man.
so-
It does.
so
Which,
Pretty cool you say that.
yeah, and it's a really exciting place, man. I say that all the time, that if I could have chose a different business path, I would have been better off. And that's what's so exciting about the real world to me. On the 14th, they're coming out with AI, which is tomorrow. The AI campus is coming out tomorrow, man. And it's the AI situation is just as big as the internet bubble, I believe. I think it's going to affect war. I think it's going to affect economies, and it's certainly going to affect business. It's not going to replace that hardworking kid learning in the real world. What it's going to do is catapult his business, because he's going to be able to triple production for a lower price and get more customers and more revenue and more profit. It's going to be completely life-changing. AI is the reason to join the real world right now. Nobody is going to beat our team. We have thousands of guys studying it every day. Anything new coming, there will be nothing that goes out to the world about AI or any way to make money online that will not first be in the real world.
Dude, I love that.
I can say that with complete conviction, because nowhere else in the world is your teacher a multimillionaire doing that exact business that exact day.
100%. And I want to encourage people to check out that app if they haven't already, the Real World app, because that shit's badass.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hit me up on Instagram, Justin Waller 7, and I can get you guys pushed through into that campus. And the spots are filling up, man, so you'd want to act fast on it.
Is Justin Waller 7, is the 7 the number from your football jersey back in the day?
No, bro. It's just a number I picked. I was feeling lucky that day, I guess.
Yeah.
I've tried to get Jay Waller. Some lady in Oklahoma owns it. She's got like 400 followers. I'd buy it from her. I just can't get a hold of her. So I can't get her to answer my messages. I wouldn't answer me either. Probably a good woman. So
That's funny. Now, I want to ask this last question on the Tates. Is obviously coming out of the situation in Romania, how were their spirits the last you visited with them? How are they doing behind the scenes?
bro, same guys. Strategizing, looking at it for what it actually is.
Yeah.
You know, just as innocent.
Yeah. It's crazy, too, because I know when it first happened and they got out, there was that famous video with Andrew just pacing, smoking the cigar.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
pacing.
Andrew
just
knows what he's doing.
Ready
That
for the
motherfucker.
yeah,
he
ready
knows what
for the
he's
round two.
yeah. So, Andrew's a showman, but
Yeah.
he's also a competitor in his heart, bro. He's got a warrior mind and spirit and heart, and they stay very lighthearted. I think as a strategy, and I think that's a great strategy. At the same time, they're always ready for war. You know, they could have backed down years ago. They made their money. You know, I think they really believe in, you know, saving young men is saving the world, and giving those guys an opportunity to be the best version of themselves they can be. It's been impactful on my life. I believe that I've been impactful on their life. And I've gotten a lot from it. I know others have gotten a lot from it, and I just believe in their heart and what they're going to do moving forward, man. I have no doubt about it. I have no doubt about whether they're innocent or not.
Yeah.
Zero doubt, zero concern about that. I've been around them too much. If they're guilty, I'm not only blind, I'm a fool, because they would have had to do it right under my nose. It's just not even a possibility, you know. So I believe any man that does anything great is going to walk through fire. Andrew and Tristan are walking through theirs. And I look forward to this being over and us going to the moon with it, man, and really helping a bunch of people, and maybe spawning some really good men that spawn some really good families, and spawn some really good children.
I love that, brother. And one thing I want to ask too before we wrap up here is something that you talk about on social media is, you know, we talked a lot about business, we talk about mindset, we talked about, discipline, but I want to zoom in on health. And one of the things you talk about a lot is the importance of physical fitness as it relates to, you know, not just, you know, your value in front of women if you're a man or vice versa if you're a woman, but also what it does for you mentally, right? You talk in your recent videos about the power of waking up early, going to the gym, etc. What advice do you have for people on how fitness in particular has been a keystone to your growth in life and business?
Yeah. So a lot of people ask me, like, money, women, or fitness first. And I always say fitness first. Because fitness makes business so substantially easier. It's so much easier to have people believe in you, give you that big contract, invest with you when they look at you and you are a specimen of discipline and strength. Right? It's even proven in studies that people assume you're smarter if you're in shape. That's not true, but perception is reality.
Right.
And because humans are way more emotional than we give them credit for, you know. And so there's that.
It's like biological subcommunication.
Absolutely. And we can't help these things most of the time. And so being in good shape, having a dominant physical presence helps you in so many ways in business, whether it's a man or a woman. It makes it easier to lead. It makes it easier to sell. It makes it easier to get people to persuade that, you know, to go with your plan and follow you. And then also it gives you a clear mind. And I think the clear mind part is really important, man, because there's not, you know, that endorphin rush you get after a workout.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it really creates this scenario where you can have clear thoughts. And I think that's a really important part about deleveraging stress, because entrepreneurship is stressful. And you know, you're a fighter and you're an athlete as an entrepreneur. You really are. And it's almost like the mixed martial arts. Like, you got to understand the marketing. You got to understand the sales, the accounting. There's all these different art forms inside entrepreneurship. And you have to be conditioned physically to burn those brain cells, use those calories, to be in a condition where you can actually take those things on cognitively. And I don't find there's a better way to be more prepared for that than to be physically in good shape and have worked out. And I think the hardest part of your day is working out. If you can work out first, the rest of your day is going to be a breeze. People used to ask me, like, how do you wake up at 4 a.m. and work out? And I would always think to myself, how could I not? You know, because the energy you have launch padding your day with something hard physical makes everything else mental. Another reason football was so good for me. Anytime I was very, like, any kind of like emotional stress, you know, like that day with the steel falling, I thought to myself, I've been in more physical pain than this. In harsher conditions, with big, strong men attacking me physically. You know, a little steel fall and losing 60 grand, I mean, it's mental.
Yeah. It's
in your head. Get up, dust the dirt off of you, get the mud off of you, jump back in the fucking forklift and handle it. And I think physical conditioning is really, really good for that. It's good for the mind, it's good for the body, it's good for the spirit. And I think it's good for you to believe in yourself because you're overcoming yourself every day.
Did you ever slip out of that discipline, or is that something you anchored since back in the day? Like, has fitness always been, or?
No, man, it's quite a relationship. I put wig on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've had 6 shoulder surgeries.
6?
A total replacement.
Holy shit.
In this shoulder, yeah. And so I'd have to navigate through it, man.
Yeah.
I'll put a hoodie on, and then you know how you have the strap for the shrugs?
Right.
I'll tie a strap around, and then I'll put this arm behind the bar. This arm doesn't go back there. And so my shoulder blade doesn't go back to catch it. And so the hoodie, the extra hoodie material will catch it, so I can do squats. You know, it's like you find a way.
Yeah.
It's the finding the little tricks every day.
Being willing to. Yeah.
Being willing to, or saying, okay, well, this is fucked right now, so I have to do legs, or this is fucked, so I'll go back to boxing for a while, or this is fucked up, so I'll do this kind of training. And
versus saying, fuck it, my shoulder's off, let me take a couple months off. Or
yeah, it's lame, bro. It doesn't work. And I'm a big proponent and advocator for what I call shitty workouts. And I believe that shitty workouts are the mortar to the bricks that build the house, because they get you from day 1 to day 2, from day 3 to day 4. And what ends up happening, you start having this conversation in your mind. You got that bitch voice, and you got that grown man voice. So sometimes that grown man voice just needs to lie. I'm just gonna go in there and do 1 set, you know, and leave. And sometimes I do, but I didn't break the chain.
Yeah.
And because you're not gonna get swole or jacked or in good shape in 1 day. So what's most important is the consistency. And so what happens a lot of times, I say 60% of the time, I say, if I don't want to go, I say, cool, I'm going to go anyway. I'm talking to that little voice, the child in you.
Right.
I'm going to go and I'm going to do 2 or 3 sets. Well, bro, by the time you go and do 2 or 3 sets, you catch a pump.
Right.
And it's easy to stay. It's easy to stay. One thing I also do in the gym, and it's super important, I call it the lima bean theory. You know how people will go in and they'll do like shoulders and they know they're supposed to do abs and they don't, or they're supposed to do cardio and they don't.
Yeah.
I compare that to being a little boy, and you're sitting at the kitchen table, and there's lima beans, macaroni and cheese, and chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
If you eat the macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets first, you're gonna try to leave the table before eating the lima beans.
Yeah.
But if you just eat those fucking lima beans, do the abs first,
Yeah.
then you could go on to shoulders or whatever that gives you a pump, and you can eat macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets all day long because you look like a beast. A lot of people do that workout first and be like, oh no, that's enough, and they skip it. And so I put it first when I got the most energy, the most pre-workout. I don't take it anymore, but caffeine.
Yeah.
And the most motivation. And I'll just say, I'm just going to do a little bit, and then you catch a pump in your abs.
Yeah.
Are you going to the next thing, or I'll just do one more set, and 5 sets later. So it's like these little things. I know a lot of people say don't negotiate with yourself, but sometimes I think lying to yourself can be just as powerful. No, it's okay. We're just going to do one. You're patting on your own head. It's okay. We're just going to do one set. Psych, bitch, 20 sets.
Yeah. Because it's hard to mentally commit earlier versus when you're there.
Right,
yeah,
right.
You gotta play these games
and you're
with
in
yourself.
it, and it's warmed up, and it's not quite as bad as you thought it was. It's starting to feel good. You feel strong. All those things start to happen, man.
Yeah.
And so, like, making these, like, little, telling yourself little white lies, or like saying, oh, I'm just going to do this, and then, like, flipping it on yourself. You can really manage yourself in that way. And I've used that my entire workout life to really make sure that I was in a position where I could be consistent. One other thing I'd say about that is I have this hard, fast rule that I never leave my house without having workout clothes in my workout bag with me, because you never know when that feeling of, bro, I would work out if I had clothes right now, is going to pop up. Take that lift. Don't leave your fucking clothes at home. Now normally I wake up and go to the gym first, but even if I do, I'll catch a 2-a-day. Because you're going to go through these times where, it's not going to be as accessible. Like if I'm doing shoulder rehab, but you can build that muscle. And one thing that I'd want young men to think about while they're training is, I always believe the pump I have today is my normal size tomorrow. And that if I build these muscle fibers, they're not going to go away. They might shrink a little bit, but my default base level is going to be a 44 chest. And certain size arms and legs and quads and my abs that I've built over time. So in my mind, I'm always thinking, anything I build, I'll keep forever. And I think that's a really strong place to be, especially if you're a young guy, because you can go really, really, really hard and really bang because you believe you'll always have it. And it is true that you will have that base. And I would remind young men of that, because that's what's going to help you work out really hard and not feel like, well, I'll have it today and it's gone tomorrow.
Yeah. I was watching a video and you talked about something called legacy muscle, I believe. Is that what it was in the video?
Did I? Legacy muscle?
Yeah, I was watching a video where you were talking about, like, similar to what you were saying about, like, a workout now is different if you, like, hold that muscle over, like, a longer period of time than it is if you're just building it from scratch. So the sooner you build that muscle,
yeah, man, mature muscle is real, bro.
Yeah.
Mature muscle is very real, man. Like, you can really change your entire physiology from a young age. That's why I'm always like these 15-year-olds that are worried about making money. Bro, make your money, bro. Cool. But also, and in my opinion, more importantly, build your body. Do the work when you're young, because you'll carry it with you. There's times where I've had a surgery or something like that. I don't work out for a month, just recovering or whatever. And I'll look in the mirror and be like, bro, I'm still fucking jacked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I'm a fucking savage.
Yeah, I'm a fucking beast. I'm 6'3", 230, 6-pack, just fucking big chest. Like, it's mature muscle.
And you do abs every day?
Yeah, I believe in doing abs every day.
Every day?
I'll tell you another thing about abs I believe that I don't understand why people don't get. So a 6-pack, let me back up. There's one constant variable where you're inside or outside. And by the way, I'm not a game guy. I'm also not a fitness guru. I'm just telling you how I look at it. I believe in what I call pinpoint muscle groups. And the premise behind that theory is that whether you're inside or outside, there's one common variable, and that's overhead light. And so I see people all the time, especially when it comes to abs, they're like, man, I got the top two. or the top 4, but I can't get the bottom 2. Well, my fucking grandma has the top 2. If you suck in, it's your ribs, asshole.
Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of treating my abs like I would treat my biceps. And the way that I do that is I will warm up, maybe on a ball or something like that, to trigger those muscles, and then I immediately load weight on just my bottom 2 abs. Oftentimes it's a decline bench with a 45 on my chest, and I'll put my chin back as far as I can to try to isolate them and get them by themselves, and just fucking bang on them. Or one of those machines where you can get in and like really, you know, I'm trying to treat my abs like they are a muscle, like another muscle. I'm not trying to burn them. I'm trying to make those fuckers strong and big, hypertrophy. Because what happens is when the overhead light comes down, even at higher body fats, if that muscle pokes through the skin, that light hits that muscle and creates that shadow underneath, and that's all the 6-pack is a shadow. And so I only focus on my bottom 2 abs, knowing that there's not a human on this planet that has a V-taper in the bottom 2 abs that doesn't have the top 4. And I want those muscles to poke through the skin. Like, oftentimes, I can see my abs without flexing because they're poking through the skin. You know, they're protruding. It's like you'll see a skinny guy, he'd be 9% body fat, beanpole skinny, but he doesn't have a 6-pack. That's not because his body fat's not low enough. It's because the muscles are not coming through the skin to create a shadow from that overhead light.
Right.
And so the other muscle groups that I focus on, or that I call pinpoint muscle groups. So it's bottom abs, upper chest. That's the first thing that is going to catch light when you walk into a room. That whole collarbone area, upper chest, it also draws your chest up in a way. The back part of your tricep. Everybody has this outside. This is super easy. Getting that horseshoe is the only thing I focus on because I know if I can build a big, you know, under part of the tricep, the horseshoe part, my whole arm will look more defined. And then the tricep is what, 60-something% of the size.
Right.
The bicep's about the peak, about the turns, because you want to create that distance between where the joint is and the peak of the bicep. That's what makes it look big, right? So like when guys start to understand, you know, like the sweep in your quads, you know, having big legs, working on these pinpoint muscle groups, knowing that you're not going to have this huge upper chest and then have a shit flabby chest at the bottom. You're not going to have the bottom 2 abs and then not have the top 4 somehow. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to build this incredible horseshoe tricep that you've like really I really focus on putting pressure on my thumbs and stuff like that to really to trigger, because it's always connected right in some way. You're not going to do that and not have good arms.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You could skip doing biceps and just have really big triceps and you would have really big arms. You know, now I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm just saying just to understand that there's a pecking order to an aesthetic physique. And then there's also the things that really matter for pure strength and explosiveness. Like I still deadlift, you know, I still do weighted pull-ups. I still like to keep my body explosive. You know, I think that having fast twitch muscle fibers and doing things like that, they really help you. And one thing that I'm constantly telling people, and this is probably the last thing I'll say about, you know, fitness in general, is that you need to think of your body like an engine. You know, everybody's like, you know, man, I've been doing cardio. They'll text me. I get so much unsolicited fitness updates.
I've been on the Stairmaster for 45 minutes
people
a day.
Will unsolicitedly tell me what they've been doing. I think I just walk in a room and they're just like, well, let me tell them what I'm doing for mine. And and whatever, but they'll be like, you know, I've been doing cardio 45 minutes a day. I've been walking. And I'm like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to be fat forever. And after they get unoffended, I'm like, let me tell you why with love. Imagine there's 2 vehicles sitting in a parking lot, right? And your basal metabolic rate, which is the big formula, your age, your height, all these things that go into figuring out how much it takes to keep your heart beating. Both these cars are running. These vehicles are running. And so that's just idle. They could sit in the parking lot all day and they'd burn a certain amount of fuel, just like you'll burn calories, just by sitting there. One of those vehicles is a Honda Accord, right? A Honda Accord, once you get moving, will have better gas mileage. It'll be lighter, all these different things, right?
Right.
It's not going to burn as much fuel. And that would be like your Harris Benedict, how active you are, plus your workout.
Right.
On the other hand, if there's an 8-cylinder pickup truck sitting right next to that Honda Accord all day, that extra muscle is going to demand more fuel. And for that reason, you can stay leaner and get away with taking on more calories. Whereas if you stay that Honda Accord and you don't build those extra 4 cylinders, you're pretty much doomed to go in this repetitive cycle of losing and gaining, because those calories, the fuel, aren't needed to service the muscle of the engine that you've given your body the information that it needs to fuel. So I often tell people, if you want to burn a bunch of fuel, drive fast. So if you want to do cardio, please do it explosively, or just lift weights faster or heavier and get more muscle. Hypertrophy is real. That'll keep you lean. But don't fall for the trick that you're going to jog around LSU Lakes in Baton Rouge and age the fuck out of yourself and screw your joints up and you're going to be jacked.
Yeah.
It's just not that way. And I try to explain it with the engine analysis. And most of the time people get it.
I love that. Now, what about in terms of the length of your workouts? Because people might hear this and go, oh, shit, it sounds like a lot of work. But I'm sure for you, it's like you got a system.
Bro, I'm on maintenance mode now.
Yeah.
I'm in the gym 20 minutes.
Really? How about when you were building it? Like, what advice would you give people who are building or in the early phase?
Bro.
You're like an hour and a half.
If I had to start all over from scratch, I can tell you exactly how I built it.
If you had to give someone a plan who's starting from zero right now and they want to get in shape and they're willing to put in the years or whatever it takes.
Yeah, I would say the first thing that's really important is that you identify your moment. And for me, I had a list, like kind of 2 moments, but one in particular. And for me, that was the future vision of what this work would do for me. And mine, as silly as it is, male ego, right, was simply changing my profile picture to me with a 6-pack. It really was.
Very simple, yeah.
And I think it's important that people create that moment in their mind, because what happens there, I'm thinking about every girl I ever went to school with is going to be like, what the fuck, look at Justin. I imagine girls sending screenshots to their friends and like, have you seen Justin? Or I show up at the beach and this actually happened that day, because that moment happened. I have that photo on my phone right now on my Facebook. I just scroll like 15 years back, right? But it was like, it motivated me because it was very real and it was tangible.
And specific and clear.
It was
subconscious.
Yeah, and I could see people responding that I cared what they thought. I'm at this place in my life where I probably don't care as much now. Now I'm just flexing on them, like, still got it, 37, fuck y'all. But back then, man, and even now, most of my inspiration comes from the future and what I want to become. And so for me, it very much worked for me to have this relationship with this particular moment in time. And I'll never forget, I knew I had the 6-pack. I showed up to a crawfish boil, and it was post-college. I was 24, and I took my shirt off, and just like I thought, people responded to it.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of myself. And somebody took that photo of me, and I remember sitting in my beat-up-ass pickup truck that hardly ran. They called it the Green Donkey, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been like. And it's like, profile picture. And of course, mess it, and I just drove.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd.
And you just let the leads come in.
Yeah, I let the leads come in, man. And
That's awesome.
I'm really proud of that. I actually lost 40 pounds to do it.
Wow.
It was actually a bit of a long journey, because it was actually after a shoulder surgery my senior year, and I'd had multiple surgeries at that point to try to fix my shoulder, and I really had to work around that. And I gained weight, and it was hard to train, and I did it, man. And I used that moment. So that was the first thing. The second thing I would say is once you have that moment in place and you can like really tangibly see that vision, it doesn't matter how petty it is, just do it. You know, it could be the smallest thing. You could be a girl and want to make your sister jealous at Thanksgiving. Fucking use it. It's going to be one thing pretty much.
Yeah.
I would use that thought during my reps. I was trying to reach that place. And then from there, it's going to be boring, but I would warm the muscle up almost like pyramid style. Every muscle group I ever do is pretty much pyramid. whatever sets of 12 to get warm, and then we're gonna go into the working sets, 3 to 4 sets of as heavy as I can fucking go between 6 and 8. I never change it. If I want to change it, I just need to put a plate on, lift heavier weight. And I've done, and my main lifts, which I promise you, I don't do any more than 8 to 10 different lifts a year. It's the same shit, just more weight.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I believe in the lifts that are going to hit these certain muscle groups, like dumbbell incline bench,
Yeah.
squats. I like to do half deadlifts because I'm tall. Weighted pull-ups, weighted abs.
Yeah.
Really try to twist, and then I try to do flat bar so I can build like this thickness. But it's nothing special.
Yeah.
It's the most boring steak and potatoes workout on the planet. But I don't skip the compound movements. I never skip leg day. I really like doing leg press. It creates an issue with me with, clothes, but my kind of problem. And
Good problems to have, right?
yeah, bro. I never get more compliments on anything than I do my ass from women. But I also don't get more hate on anything else on the internet but how tight my jeans are. So it's a trade-off, bro, but I'm cool with it. I always say I have a world-class ass, suck it. So
yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, man, so it's to the working sets to get that deep muscle close to the bone. This is how I think about it. And then I would rep to fail twice on whatever muscle groups. Now my split, I don't know, I'm doing a whole fitness podcast right now.
No, this is good though. I love it.
My split was
Make sure
always
to take notes, folks.
Was always a bit different. I would do because Monday's International Chest Day at the gym.
Right.
I'm really exposing how much of a gym rat I've been in my life. So I would always skip the Monday chest day and do back instead, and I would do back and triceps. And the reason I would do back and triceps instead of back and bis is because I could get that big pull out of my biceps and my back, because you're just naturally going to engage your bicep.
Right.
And then I do tricep, and I kind of believe that if you do bis and tris at the same time, you have a bigger because you're stimulating more of the muscle.
Muscle, yeah, from different direction. Yeah.
And then I would use lima bean theory on myself again on Tuesdays, and I would put legs and shoulders together. But I'd always do legs first, because legs are boring as fuck.
Yeah.
But shoulders, you get to look jacked.
Right.
So lima bean theory, legs first, then do shoulders. And then I would do chest day for the first time on Wednesday. And then I would just repeat that cycle with no planned days off. And then to this day, when it comes to work or working out, I never plan a day off. I have days off happen that I allow to happen.
Exactly.
But most of the time, they're also connected to moments. I took a day off in Utah like 2 years ago. I was in this grocery store and I met just like this stunningly beautiful woman in the grocery store.
Vacation day.
Yeah. And she's like, "You want to come to the pool with me?" And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, I do." and life is that way, right? Yeah. If you create things in your life in a certain way, then you're allowed to shamelessly enjoy these incredible moments in your life. And I didn't even sleep with the girl, actually. I wanted to, cowboy. But it was in Salt Lake City. She was a Mormon girl.
Yeah.
And I would have got her on the second round, but I had to leave.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting there at this girl's pool in this really nice apartment complex in a state that was foreign to me. Yeah. Looking at the mountains and looking over at her and being like, bro, I didn't start my day with this intention. Yeah. But it passes the rocking chair test. And that's how I make my decisions. I've said that on a lot of podcasts. It's like, I make my decisions based off what I call the rocking chair test. It's like when I'm in the moment and Andrew's like, "Hey, do you want to go to a house party and meet Steven Seagal?" I think to myself, or let's say they want to do something crazy, like go through the mountains or something, like when I'm 100 years old, and I'm looking back at my life, will I look back at this opportunity? Am I taking this opportunity and being in this moment fully and smile? And if the answer is yes, I generally do it. And then on top of that, I'll check in with the older version of myself, because my main goal is to make the older version of me proud of who I am today. Like, I want to be an old man and be like, I'm proud of that young man. Yeah. I feel like I have that relationship with my 20-year-old self and that kid. and I hope to have it again and again and again. And so I actually talk to the old man in selfie videos. You know, hey, like right now, one that I'm planning on making soon is like, we have 4 mobile home parks under contract right now. That's another 150, 160 doors. And so there's like, you know, risk and fear of taking on bigger and bigger things. And, you know, you can do the underwriting 100 times, but, you know, it's different when the pad hits the paper. And I'm at peace with it because I know no matter what was to ever happen moving forward on me achieving my goals is that I will have made him proud by taking action. And I have a track record of being proud of me in the past, and I just want to continue working for that old man so he can look back at me and smile and say, you know, you were a good man the whole way, and you really fought, and you had courage, and you did those things. Because I think at the end of the day, nobody's going to care about you as much as you. And I think it's not important for anybody to be more proud of you than you. So I try to really engage that internal relationship with myself, not only now, but how I'm going to feel about myself looking back in the future.
Yeah.
So it's been really good for me in that way.
Profound, brother. I love that. Well, thanks so much for sharing this, bro. And I want to ask before we wrap up here on the show, to that point is we always play a game at the end called First Things First. So it's like a little word relation game at the end of the podcast.
All right.
We'll transition to that. But before I do, I just want to ask this last question. On the point you just said is, you know, for men and women at any age, at any stage of life, whether they're entrepreneurs or not, and they're trying to make their life work, right? A lot of our audience is people who are either early level entrepreneurs, people that look up to you and other people on social media, seeing what you guys are doing, and they're like, man, I want to make my life work. I want to get unstuck. And maybe they're the version of you, you know, that was at rock bottom at many points, right? What advice would Justin Waller have, you know, whether 60, 90 second piece of advice that you give to people on how to get unstuck and finally get ahead, right? Get out of their own way, being on this side of the fence?
What I would advise to you is to understand that you're just in a season and that you're going to go through many more. And if it's bad now, it'll be worse later on your way to greener pastures, man. And so if you just understand that it's only for a period of time, and then if you keep punching long enough that you'll come out on top, I don't think there's anything in the world that any individual can't do if they simply stick to the same fight, know that they're in a season, and relentlessly refuse to do anything other than succeed. I think it's impossible for you not to. And I genuinely believe that. I really do, man.
Fuck yeah. All right. Love it.
Cool.
All right. Now ready for the game? It's fun.
Yeah, bro. Let's do it.
All right. So the way the game works, like I said, I'm going to rifle off just a quick word or phrase.
Cool.
And then you tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind. So think of it like a word or phrase relation
got
game.
it. Shoot.
There's only one rule. You can't repeat yourself twice.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, football.
Sports.
Making your first million.
Underwhelming.
Hardest lesson to learn in business.
Your fault.
Best advice you've ever been given in business.
Just one word?
Word or phrase that comes to mind.
If you're not close to bankrupt every 4 years, you're not doing shit.
If you're not close to bankrupt every 4 years, you're not doing shit.
Yeah. I had a guy tell me that once. Yeah.
Andrew and Tristan Tate.
The best men you'll never meet in real life.
Your vision for why you're growing your social media, why you're growing your reach, and the message you want to get to people out there. Like the why behind it for you.
I want to be proud of the man I became. And I think a big part of that is my ability to help people that are coming up and have been where I have been, or are where I have been. It's the most fulfilling work I've ever done.
How you define success now versus, you know, earlier on in life?
Knowing that I was just as happy when I was poor as I am when I'm rich.
The biggest misconception about what it took to become successful, being on this side of the fence versus the young version of you that was only dreaming about being here. So what's the biggest misconception?
That it takes anything other than hard work and intention over time. It's just time, intention, and pressure.
All right, and then the last one. When you're dead, gone, and nothing but a pile of dust, what do you hope the Justin Waller legacy is all about for people around the world watching your content? Kind of a big question.
Yeah, but a fair one. He lived in truth, and he always stood by it. Like, I just want to live in truth, man. That, you know, like, I get hate after hate after hate sometimes for some of my views, but I can't see myself changing them to make other people happy, because I suspect that those people would have just disliked me for something else anyway. So why not just give them my whole heart? And the people that love me are gonna love me like crazy, and the people that hate me, I suspect, already would have.
Yeah.
You know, so he just lived in truth, and he never lied to us, and he did his best to be a good example, and he was a good man. That's it. I don't need anything more.
And he had some good abs.
Damn good abs. And a world-class ass cowboy.
And a world-class ass cowboy. All right, Justin, thanks so much for being on the show, brother.
I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed
appreciate
it,
you,
truly.
brother. Absolutely. And for people watching, where can they find you if they want to check out more of your content?
Yeah, so you can go to justinwinwaller.com, JustinWinn, Waller.com. By the way, that is just my middle name, Win. God gave me that. That's for my email list, and Telegram. I put content in there every day that does not go anywhere else on the internet. So it kind of cross-collabs some of our community posts, but there's definitely things in there that you won't see anywhere else. And that's J Waller Daily.
Awesome.
So
awesome. Well, make sure to check out those links in the description down below. As always, guys, I want to encourage you to live strong, live with passion, and go take action on those dreams to make them a reality.